This is Seasons of Discontent with your hosts Rick Snyder and Matt Combs on the Hogstein Network.
Welcome to Seasons of Discontent, Season 7, Episode 37, brought to you by Rick Snyder's Washington across social media. And I'm Rick Snyder.
I'm Matt.
And we're back discussing all things Washington sports and life as part of the Mighty Hogstein Network on audio and here on YouTube for video. All right, Cleveland preview time. Washington 17, Cleveland 14. You want to give a score too? Because we don't care all what's going on.
I really hate doing this, but I'm with you. Washington 24, Cleveland 17.
I mean, it might be a little more scoring. I expect that they're going to try and run, regularly. Cleveland's run defense isn't that great. Then you got to make sure Deshaun Watson doesn't carve you up in the middle running. They haven't been very good against the run up the middle lately. It's just, I don't know what happened to this line, but they suddenly the last couple games have been neutralized but Chase Young's back, and Chase in a limited way looked good. He came out of the game well. They're going to increase his snaps, so I think he could probably play 25, maybe a few more, which is about half the time that the guys play. Yeah, he knocked down a pass against San Francisco. He looked good. Hopefully, things worked out. So it's nice to see Chase back, and then maybe
I'll tell you, Rick, the keys to this defense is, and Cam Curl didn't play against San Francisco, and we definitely felt his loss. And I think you got to have St. Juice back at 100%. Those two guys, I think the defense really took a downturn with those two guys missing.
Rivera said that Cam was close to being in the last game, and they expect him to play this game. And Ron talked about he basically calls him the air traffic controller.
And that's what he is.
Usually that's your linebacker, but they don't really have a linebacker in that kind of role, so they made a safety do it. But he makes sure everybody is where they should be, which is great. So I think he'll be back. I think he'll be back for this one. And it was funny because Rivera the other day said that Gibson had a sprain, and we're like, sprain what? Well, injury report's due tomorrow. I'll let you know. I thought, come on, Ron, you already gave out half of it. Sprained arm, a sprained neck. Yeah, it was just kind of him being Ron. All right, here's the thing. These last two games, besides deciding their playoff fate, does it also decide who's going to be back next year in so many ways? Because people ask me this all the time. What's this draft? What about this? I said, here's the problem. I don't know who owns this team. Let's just start there. Then I don't know who's coaching this team. So I have no idea what they're going for. You can't say, well, I like that tight end from Notre Dame in the draft. You have no idea of any of this stuff. The only thing I can say is the scouts for the draft, their contract goes till the draft. So you keep them. You can't redo your draft team. But the coaches could be changed, and then they might want different kind of players. I mean, there's all this stuff.
Yeah, it all depends, and we've talked about it in the past, and on the show and off the show. It all depends on who. It not necessarily who. It depends when the sale of the team is completed. Like you've talked about, if the timeline is March, because that's the next owners meeting, so they say, okay, March, yes, Byron Allen is chosen as the owner of the Washington Commanders. Well, from March, your draft is in what? April. Free agency starts in April. Starts in March. So there you go. You're not necessarily going to change your front office personnel. You're not going to change coaches, I don't think, with a new owner that quickly. I think I've told all my friends this. The real wait and tell is 2024. Ron's contract's up at the end of 2024. That's when the new owner can come in and say, okay, well, I want this guy to be GM, this guy, GM pick the coach pick your guys to go with it, scouts give me do your thing, and not necessarily Byron Allen, but if it's whatever owner that we get, if it is a Bezos, if it is Byron Allen, hopefully these guys are smart enough to realize, hey, we made our money in TV and in shipping packages. We don't know anything about football, so they're not going to be like Snyder and come in here and try and play Madden on their kids' PSP. I mean, it just is what it is. They have to realize that they need to hire football people, and they need to spend the money to hire the correct football people.
Well, that's not an easy thing. Look at Denver. They already fired their coach. We had 3 coaches fired this season so far.
Yep.
It's now the Sean Payton Derby. He'll
Well,
be
and
gone.
also you got to think there's talk of Cliff Kingsbury being done in Arizona. I mean, there's going to be a good 8 to probably 6 to 8 jobs available.
Yeah, so Washington, by retaining Rivera until a new owner, if nothing else, you've lost everybody. You got to be ready opening week to grab somebody like Sean Payton.
Yeah, no, I don't think Peyton's the answer though. I think with this team, you're going to have to go out and get one of these hot coordinators. You're going to have to get and every year there's new coordinators. I mean, hell, 4 of them were on this staff that are now head coaches. And that includes Mike McDaniel down in Miami. That's the guy that you need to go after. You kind of see this more of a push towards the younger guys that are head coaches that could connect with their players, and you see the way that these guys are responding. I mean, you look at the Shanahans, you look at McDaniel, you look at McVay last year, you look at the guy in Green Bay. Those all are younger head coaches that can connect more with their 20-something-year-old players as opposed to a Sean Payton. I mean, look, but Drew Brees ain't following Sean Payton out into Redskins Park. You know what I mean? And that's where Sean Payton, most of his success was. We saw what he was without Drew Brees. So, I'm not necessarily high on the Sean Payton Derby, but, it all depends on ownership. And I don't think anything takes effect until 2024.
All right, so we'll play the big if game here. If they swap coaches and if the new owner is ready, could they get Tom Brady? Because Tom Brady's leaving Tampa.
No.
And if he comes to Washington, look at his receivers. He's got plenty of targets. And if they said, Tom, we'll go get a bunch of linemen for you, we'll sell a lot of tickets with Tom Brady. Not that he's getting to be the old Johnny Unitas all of a sudden, but I don't know. People were excited about that. I'm like, nah. Then they thought, what about Lamar Jackson? Well, if Lamar Jackson somehow comes free from Baltimore, because they've got to pay him under the franchise thing about $40 million. And I'm not sure they really want to do that. And the word is out. There was a story in the Post today that Bisciotti's thinking of selling the Ravens once he sees what the Commanders get. So I don't know. He may come loose. I don't know. I think Lamar is a very good quarterback, but would that be the guy you want? I
think honestly, if we're going to play this game, honestly, the established quarterbacks, I think the most likely one to come to Washington would be Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers could force his way out of Green Bay. That's a $50 million price tag, but I think he could force his way out of Green Bay. He's clearly frustrated with the organization. They are not filling they're not giving him weapons. It's a perfect scenario. You ride out your last year or two in Washington with 3 stud wide receivers, a good running game, and like you said, you go out and get some linemen. He's got a serviceable defense. I think Rodgers would be the most likely candidate, but no, I everybody says Brady's going back to New England to mentor Mac Jones. I could see that. Lamar Jackson, I think the price tag is just too high, and it's with all these guys coming up in the next couple of years, I think it's just too much money to spend on a quarterback. But maybe a year of Aaron Rodgers, maybe you can get something. Maybe you can get something going.
Man, I hate covering Aaron Rodgers. I just see this.
He's such a D-bag.
I mean, it would be such a pain in the butt. But we're as bad or worse than that on everything.
Hey, at least they didn't end up with Matt Ryan like I was hoping for. Good Lord, we saw how bad that guy tanked.
Yeah. Heineke, they had this thing, Spot Rack, which does the salaries and all. And Earl Forsey mentioned it first, that Heineke, the way he's playing and everything, would earn him a $19.7 million deal, basically $56 million over 3 years by a team. I don't know who's paying that. And if they do, he's not staying in Washington. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was thinking good. I mean, I like Taylor in a lot of ways. I don't want to, be hard on him, but I mean, I was thinking, well, you could get 6 to 10 somewhere, but 19, and his agent's saying, yeah, 19. That's what Spot Rack's saying. Wow, that'd be crazy to see Taylor get that.
I think Taylor's comparable is Nick Foles for me. Now, aside, let's get rid of that whole Super Bowl winning thing that Nick Foles had. But Foles, left the Eagles. They tried to make him a starter. He flopped. He went back to the Eagles, stayed a year or two under Peterson. Now he played last night for Indianapolis. he's back in Indy. But yeah, I think that's more of Heineke's comparable. Heineke is a system quarterback. He has to fit the system, or the system around him has to be what he's comfortable in, a la Nick Foles. So would Heineke be smart to go somewhere else? Well, yeah, if they're paying him $19 million, of course. I would never I'd never turn down $19 million. But, for Heineke's sake, I mean, his best spot is Washington. Ever since he's come here, he's played. Ever since he's come here, they're doing Monday Night Football segments on him. He's getting coverage on ESPN. I mean, it's just probably the ideal situation for him.
Yeah, of course, I don't know what the next staff will think of him, but he's beloved in Washington, if nothing else.
I think as long as Rivera and Turner are here, I think Heineke has a job, and Heineke would be smart to stay.
Yeah, it's crazy. By the way, the Colts, I knew what was going to happen. They won their first game because anytime you make a midseason coaching change, your best game is your first game. And then they haven't won since, and they've lost some stupid games. So Saturday doesn't seem to do well on Sunday very often, but they may keep him, because Irsay's a dummy anyway, and he might want to keep Jeff Saturday as the coach. So
I swear, man, flip a coin for the dumbest owner in the league between him and Snyder.
Yeah. So, all right. So the last show of the year, we don't come back till next year. We did 37 in a straight run, so that was pretty good for us.
We had a break for Christmas.
And then,
bye week. We had a bye week break. I needed a break.
Yeah, say the least. But we will be doing the beginning of the new year, and then we'll see how long that goes on there and take a break.
Hey, when we're done with the Commanders, we're going right into the Defenders. We're going to be the official podcast of the Defenders. We're getting that this year, Rick. I'm telling you.
Yeah, last time I took you to a game, I came home and started puking, and I was sick as a dog.
Yeah, and then 2 weeks later, the league folded.
Yeah, so I don't know if we want to really mess with them. I do have a new show I'm going to be doing. It's going to be pizza with other sports writers. We're going to go to pizza places and eat. You can come if you want.
I'm not a sports writer, but I like pizza.
Yeah,
I still want to participate in that wing eating competition you were talking about. I can put down some wings.
Yeah, we were talking about that, and then COVID hit. So,
right.
But maybe I'm not matching up against like Mitch.
No, I can't put down the wings like Tish, but yeah, I can eat my own. Don't get me wrong now. They don't call me Fat Matt for nothing.
All right. So New Year's Eve is coming. Do you have any plans?
Yeah, every year we go to my buddy's house.
Every year I just struggle to stay awake.
I was gonna say you'll be in bed by 10:30.
Yeah, we celebrate England's New Year's Eve or something, man. I don't know. I did that when I was young.
I feel you.
Unfortunately, many New Year's Eves ago. So, and we got to go. So, I'm Rick Snyder.
I'm Matt.
See you next week.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Seasons of Discontent on the Hogstye Network.